Welcome to Beer Grilled Skinny, a mother-daughter team that embraces the random. I'm Lorianne, the daughter, and Justine is the mom. So today's subject is romance. What are your thoughts on romance?
I have so many thoughts on romance, and I guess a lot of them are like, what? Because I was looking up the Romantic era, and the Enlightenment period came before that. Enlightenment means reasoning, and then people moved into this passion in such a way that Shelley's writings couldn't be printed until after he was dead. And I'm like, what?
Why couldn't his writings be printed until after he was dead?
Because they were not looked fondly upon. It was danger from the church.
Okay, so do you know the etymology of the word romance?
No.
It actually started off as speaking like a Roman. And so this is very similar to when England and France had their little rivalry, where when the French would take over England, you would be looked down upon if you spoke English. And so Romans looked down upon you if you spoke in the vernacular instead of speaking their strict Latin. So then it ended up being a thing. It went from talking like a Roman to idealized love.
What in the world?
I know. And so we've ended up with, instead of rationality, it's all about passion. And idealized love is not just normal love, it's passion. Now, you'll find that most people, when they first start falling in love, have plenty of passion. But during my research, I got the idea that idealized love is not the same thing as day-to-day love. You know how once you get into the marriage, it's not always roses and chocolate.
Yes.
But it is, we're all fascinated with the story of people falling in love, and that is what has come to be known as romance.
And there are some deviations from that. We call a lot of things, oh, that's so romantic. And there might not even be humans in the picture. It might just be a room that's got roses and, beautiful lamps and everything. Oh,
when I was looking up the definitions, looking at, the romance of traveling, or, the romance of the water and the boats on the water and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It has come to embrace a lot of things.
So maybe a word that's been worn out, and yet it'll always be there. You've got your rom-com movies.
We don't have many of those anymore.
Oh, you just have to know where to look. Yes, we do. We don't stream from these places, but I'll find them for you if you want.
You don't have to.
Okay.
No one can match the ones from the 90s and the 80s
true.
and now it's just a formula that's...
Well, actually, nobody can match yours, which I love your romance story.
Okay, that's not a rom-com. That's just my story.
Okay. Oh, there's lots of comedy in it. Romantic comedy.
But it's not a movie, is what I'm saying.
Oh,
it's real.
True. And I'm going to bring in here this couple that I knew from Disney days, Jeff and Bridget, who own Bedora Vineyards, because what is romance without wine? Gotta have wine, right? And the two of them would slip into each other's offices, and there might have been a little making whoopee. I don't know. None of us knew. We just watched them fall in love. And that was just sweetness to me. Always has been. I did not get that.
You did not get what?
Romantic love.
Did you not ever?
What, with your dad?
Well, yeah, when you first started off, wasn't it romantic? Or did he just be like, I'm going to marry you and that's it?
We had fun
didn't
together.
He have that portrait made of you?
When he was in the Navy, yes, he did.
So?
Yeah, he took a picture of mine and had it made. I'm quite certain he intended well. It just didn't work out. Moving on romance.
Well, but that's the whole thing, by the way, about idealized love. You meet someone, and they call it idealized love, but I sometimes wonder if it isn't just pheromones.
Yes, I've been wondering about body parts. this body calls to that body. Oh, we're in love. And no, love was nowhere near it.
I mean, a lot of times in the definitions I was looking up, romance is brief, because I think the word they're actually looking for is infatuation.
Oh, that's good.
Because I went through that phase.
Yeah.
And then, to me, I'm going to just redefine romance to go, when you find the right one and your soul mates to their soul, you just make it work.
Yeah.
When it's hard, you still make it work. And by hard, I don't mean like I'm a bad person or he's a bad person. It's just life throws obstacles at you, and you have to overcome them together. And so when he and I took the vows of for better or worse, apparently we decided to start with worse. So for 20 years, it was really hard. And we made it through, and we just fell more and more in love every day. But now we're getting to the better, and I'm very pleased about that.
Yeah.
But he's never been into romance. And so when I looked up romance and that it's idealized and passionate, now he's very passionate, but he does not like run out and buy flowers all the time or chocolate. He does important things like, I'm going to clean the kitchen for you today. Or, what do you want me to cook? Or, what do you want to do with the rest of our lives? Or, let's get on the boat. That's what's important.
And if you got, romantic comedy, the comedy side of it makes me think of when he came over and y'all had a room in Charlottesville and you put rose petals all over the bed.
Yes, I learned a lot from romantic comedies about what not to do, but apparently I missed the memo on that one. So I stuck rose petals all over the bed, and he comes over from Australia. So it's a very long flight from Australia to Virginia. And he got waylaid in Philadelphia by a snowstorm. So by the time he got to me, it was summer in Australia and winter in the U.S., and I said, don't bother bringing a coat because I bought you a coat. So he's in Philadelphia in a snowstorm. By the time he got to me, he was exhausted, very, very sick. And so he just wanted to go to bed. So he gets in the bed, and he's like, what? And I'm like, well, I was trying to be romantic. That's a romance.
Yes. That's so good. So good. So then, in your opinion, there's some value in romance, but there are people who push it to where it's no longer something nice, like, oh, I've got to have a diamond, oh, I've got to have, a destination wedding, all these things I've got to have, and now I have to be able to put it on Facebook, dancing with my daddy or dancing with this one, and it just becomes a production and not so much romance.
Well, I'm not too fussed if you can afford it. I do get concerned about people that take out a debt as almost as high as a mortgage to do this fancy wedding, and they act like the day is what counts rather than the marriage. And when my husband and I got to know each other and fell in love, we decided that it was about the marriage. So we just went and eloped to a courthouse in the middle of Stanton, Virginia. And the courthouse also happened to be the jail. So you made me that gorgeous peau de soie, navy blue, Beauty and the Beast type dress. And I just paraded right on through that jail. And they did have some women working in there. And they were like, oh my goodness, this is so romantic. And then we got married under a John Wayne picture.
Yeah. So, and I guess, of course, we can say romance is many different things to many different people, but I really wanted to kind of get into this subject because it's a word that gets tossed around. I toss it around. I see somebody's decorated something so sweetly, and I think, well, no, that's very romantic. But you look at the beginning of the word, meaning that you stop thinking and you start being passionate.
Well, that's not the beginning of the word, but that was the thing that I told you about. I met this woman when I was working at Disney, and we had a conversation about romance. She and her husband were not interested in passion. They just decided they were compatible and decided to get married, and were very happy. I think sometimes passion causes problems. Sometimes it's good. I mean, again, I certainly have passion in my marriage, but it doesn't rule my marriage. You just pick times. And my husband does not want to be told when to pick the time. So you can't say, it's Valentine's Day. We actually made a rule. We're never celebrating Valentine's Day because it just makes everyone who's not in a relationship feel bad.
Yes, and it's really nothing but a retail holiday, which most of them are.
Exactly.
You want to call it tradition? Nah, it's escaped tradition a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Still, I would like to go back to what I was saying earlier about the merge from the Enlightenment period, where you were thinking, and moving on to the Romantic era, in which passion began to rule. So I think about life on planet Earth, and how often can you have a reasonable relationship with somebody and not call it romantic? That, like that word being worn out, and we can come up with something better than that. Because there was a time, you think about when marriages were arranged, and it worked into something really nice, and sometimes it didn't.
Well, just like marriages that you pick on your own. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. When I was working in counseling, and one of our therapists was a sex therapist, and he had a couple come in to see him because they didn't know anything about sex. They didn't have a clue what they were supposed to do. And I'm like, this was like in the 80s. And I'm like, how in the world can that happen? So he gave them instruction. They went away. They got pregnant. They came back to thank him and thank him and thank him. And then you think about the kids who are still in school and they get pregnant. They didn't have to have anybody tell them what to do. The body called to the body, and there you are, boom, a baby comes. So
I do have to wonder about the intelligence of this couple, because it's like he has a stick, she has a hole.
I know.
They kind of match, and can't you just figure that out?
I don't know. Couldn't you, like, go get a biology book, something?
But as far, I know, you go to counseling instead of a biology. Yeah. Like, you could just say, hey, my parents kept me out of the health education part that tells you how to do this. Maybe we should go look it up.
Yeah.
The way I feel about the word romance at this point is the same that I feel about the word sexy. They call everything sexy. Oh, that's so sexy.
Yeah.
We wear words out, and I don't like it.
And they make up new words.
I like the specificity of what something means when at all possible.
Yes.
So I am in love with my husband. He is in love with me. Sometimes we do things that could be considered romantic, but mostly it's just about, I'm happy, you're happy, I'm going to do something for you, you're going to do something for me. So if you want to call that romance, fine. Now, the way we got together, a lot of people would call a romantic comedy and really enjoy it.
Yes,
I mean,
true.
He went after me like he was going fishing. We met on a forum online back when we were still doing, the kinds where you just type things out way before Facebook. And he really liked my mind. He didn't know what I looked like. Then I went off to another forum because one was science-based and the other one was social-based. And he followed me and changed his name because he didn't want me to think that he was stalking me when he was literally stalking me online. And then he just started talking to me. And I was like, we're just going to be friends. And he's like, that's great. But then at night, sometimes I'd have a few drinks and we'd get flirty. And then the next morning I'd go, we're just going to be friends. This lasted approximately 2 months before I said, okay, you got me.
Yeah. Sweetness. Such sweetness.
It was really, I think, for us, it worked really well because we got to know each other's personalities. We spent 8 months talking before we ever met in person. So there were no pheromones involved. And that way, when we met in person, we could just skip all the, stuff and go straight to the bedroom. And it was awesome. And then we knew, okay, we really are going to get married. We were both nervous about that. We're like, what if we get together in person and it doesn't work? Oh, well, it worked.
Yes, it did. You got on a plane, flew down there to that man. And I remember before, when it was just your mind to mind. And so he sent a picture. And I'm like, I know this man's a terrorist.
Yes, until we saw him. Okay, let me explain the terrorist reference. So he's not good at selfies, and this was way back before anyone really knew how to do selfies, and I wanted to know what he looked like. And so he stood in the mirror in the bathroom for about an hour trying to take a picture, and he just wasn't happy with any of the pictures. And so finally, he just got really angry and just grimaced into the camera and sent that to me. And so I said, once again, I think we're just going to be friends. He's like, what do you mean? I do pretty well with the ladies. Now, what you have to understand is I didn't get the Aussie sense of humor back then. So he was joking the whole time. The moment where I changed my mind was they had a webcam at this place called Federation Square. And he had a job that he had to do at Federation Square. And he's like, sign on at such and such a time, and I will wave to you. And then that's when I got to see the smile and the sexy posture. And yes, I know sexy's overused, but it applies here. Just the way he was standing there looking at me, I was like, oh, okay. Maybe we might be more than friends.
And I'm like, I think you need to get on the plane and go down and meet that fella.
Yes, that's not exactly what you said, but we're trying to keep a clean podcast here.
I was thinking, I know. And we do.
Mom gave me advice, it worked, and now I've been married for 20 years.
Did said advice apply to me? No, it did not. But I am a good mother.
You are, and you wanted me to have something better than what you had.
Yeah.
And you succeeded.
Oh, I did, 100-fold. So I guess a conclusion we can come to is that the word romance is probably overused, and yet it's applicable to a lot of situations on this planet. It shouldn't be applicable when just one body is called to another body. That's not.
That's called lust.
Yeah. And
I remember when, well, I don't remember when, but I've read how Aristotle said you can't tell if someone's had a happy life until you see the whole life. So for me, romance is you're still together after all these years and you've gone through the high times and the low times and you really love each other. I don't mean you're just staying together because it's too inconvenient to break up. I mean, if the love grows deeper and deeper, to me, that's what romance truly is.
Yeah, that's a good way to explain it, I think. It grows deeper and deeper and deeper. Mm-hmm. And yes, there's passion sometimes, but as I see between the two of you, there's enlightenment too. Because the two of you are definitely thinkers.
We are, and we test each other. We actually enjoy debate. We will run a subject into the ground until you're like, can I please leave for a while?
Yeah.
And meanwhile, this is us going, yeah, let's do this. It's tiring at times, but it's worth it because it puts us on the same page for the plan for our life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have a great plan now, and it's very exciting. But that's for another episode.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I would love to hear your comments on not here, but I'd love for you to write your comments on how you view romance and any questions you have, or if you disagree with our assessment of romance. I would definitely love to, we'd both love to hear about that, read about that. You know what I mean. Anyhow, thanks for joining us. I hope you join us next time.
Together, we conquer our fears with dreams in our hearts and the world in our sight. We're beer grill skinny, ready